welcome to the stage Mauro Porcini. All right, man. Close it out.
Good afternoon, buongiorno, everybody. So, my role is to keep you awake until the drinks, first of all. And then to do so, I will talk about design, and I will talk about why design is more important than ever in business, in the business world today, and in society in general. And one of the key reasons is that the world is changing. The world we live in is changing at an acceleration never experienced before. There are a variety of different driving forces of this change, and some are really relevant for our creative innovation and design world. And some of them are here. First of all, internet. Internet is creating what I like to define as global accessibility to knowledge, augmented awareness. Essentially, every time we want to know something about something, we take out this device, we Google the information, and we know, we learn. And so this is creating consumers, people that are smarter, are savvy, are demanding. Essentially, you cannot trick them or fool them in any way anymore. Then there is the global market and the world of e-commerce that is creating global accessibility to purchase. Essentially, you go eventually to a traditional retailer to buy, for instance, in consumer electronics, your latest device, your latest computer, your latest cell phone. And while you are there, eventually you buy from competition. You take out, again, this device, and you may find something that is more convenient, that is more interesting, a different brand that is more appealing to you, and you buy from competition. Essentially, this is creating a world where we don't compete anymore just with renowned products and brands that are there on shelf with us, but we are competing with a variety of products and brands that, without any boundary of space and geography, any boundary of time often, and often we don't even know what is going to be out there by the time we launch the products and the brands we are working on. And finally, the world of social media. Social media is creating what I like to define as the filtration and amplification of information that are relevant to you through the network of your peers. Essentially, you select people that share your same dreams and passion in your social media, in your social network, and by definition, therefore, they select information that are interesting to you and they amplify them. This is creating a scenario where, while brands in the past were crafting a message and imposing that message top-down, mostly through traditional media, through television, we live today in a world instead where we are not even the actor of the conversation anymore as brands. We are the topic of the conversation. We're moving from buying the right to talk to people and be part of the conversation to the need of earning the right to be part of the conversation. And therefore, this is creating a scenario where brand building is changing radically. And design can really play a very important role in this evolution, in partnership and collaboration with the world of marketing that has been dominating brand building for many, many years. Then there is what I like to define as digitally enabled communication, entrepreneurship, and manufacturing. Essentially, is any of us can come up with an idea and get rather easy access to funding. Think about internet sites like Kickstarter.com, for instance. But in general, think about the proliferation of VC and funds. Almost all my friends in New York, they are creating a fund or they have their own startup. So essentially, it's easier to get funding. The cost of manufacturing tooling is decreasing, and new technologies like 3D printing will take that down even more. So you will take those barriers to the entry in terms of tooling and manufacturing even more down. And then you can build your ecosystem of communication leveraging social media. So all of a sudden, each of us can go to market very easily and compete with giant multinational corporations like PepsiCo and many of our friends out there. So as corporations, we are fighting still with other renowned corporations, and we know by heart what they're up to, their strategies and everything. But we're also competing with a variety, a proliferation of new products and new brands, and we have no clue what they're up to. And they are the new products and new brands that will arrive and will disrupt our industry. We know that somebody, sooner or later, will arrive and will disrupt our industry. The Uber of transportation, the Airbnb of hospitality will arrive to our industry no matter what the industry is. Could be us, individuals or companies or brands that we're going to disrupt our own industries, or it could be somebody else. And therefore, we need to be ready with our cycles of innovation, culture, mindset, processes, organizations, to react eventually to those disruptors and be ready to innovate ourselves even when we are successful. One of the biggest challenges for the companies I've been working in, PepsiCo now, 3M in the past, was that these are successful companies. So go innovate even more in companies that are already extremely successful. It's so difficult. But we know that somebody, sooner or later, will arrive and will disrupt everything. And finally, what we call Internet of Things. Essentially, everything is getting more and more connected and more smart. Products are connecting with each other, talking with each other. And so even if it's not yet there, it's arriving. We see it here and there. We see, for instance, look at Google and the strategy of M&A, the acquisition of Google from Nest, strategy of innovation, with smart glasses or in the world of automotive and so on and so forth. There are a variety of different companies that are starting to play a role in the world of Internet of Things, but things will arrive faster and faster, and we need to understand how we can play a role in it. In the world of food and beverage, it may mean that a bottle like this may become smart, the label may become smart and talk to the refrigerator, reorder itself when it's finished or when it's expired, talk with your food, connect, understand what's in the refrigerator together with the beverage and give you any kind of advice and suggestion for your meal and so on and so forth. But essentially, the products will start to be connected and talk and interact with people, human being context. So how can we innovate in that evolving scenario? Bless you. So what's going on is that people don't buy just products anymore. People, they search solutions, first of all, not just products, but solutions that are holistic. They search experiences connected to those solutions that are meaningful to them. And then they search stories connected to those experiences that are authentic. And here, in this sentence, is really a summary of the full ecosystem from inception of an idea of a product all the way to the full ecosystem around the product, packaging, experience in retail, experience in hospitality, all the way to all the activations and communications in connection to the product and the brand. And consumers consume content at the speed of light. Content that in the world of marketing has been for a long time defined as that video that goes in television and eventually then the campaign that you can find in other medias. And today, content is translated in a different format, but it's still the video that goes online. Content for us as designers is much broader. Content is anything that people interact with. Content is the product, is the packaging, is the story that product and packaging tell, is the experience you have in retail, is the experience you have in e-commerce, is any interaction with every touch point of the brand. And those consumers consume the content at the speed of light. Now, if I look back at the past 5 years of my journey in PepsiCo, there are 3 main challenges that we've been facing connected to those trends and this evolving reality. The first one is the quest for relevance, understanding what is relevant for people, understanding what people want in a world where there are some macro trends, but then there are so many things that change almost every day. And so we need designers in-house that are there monitoring what's going on in the world, monitoring 24/7. As designers, we live the trends. As designers, we are designers for what we do professionally, but also we are in our life. We are designers 24/7. Is the clothes that we wear, is the book that we read, is the friends we have, the trips we take. So by definition, we are embedded in what's going on in the world, and we are probably one of the professional communities that can understand how relevance for people, what is important for people, evolve probably better than many other professional communities. The second is frequency and speed. Essentially, the cycles of innovation are very accelerated in every industry. Think about the cycle of production, ideation and creation and production, so cycle of development of cars in automotive industry. How they pass from 10, 15 years to 3 years today, and actually even 3 years is too slow. But this is true in every industry. Everything is moving at the speed of light. From innovation in products all the way, even more extreme, to the creation of content. So from product, innovation, to communication, creation of content, where in communication, essentially, you need to be able to create content every minute of the day through social media. So this is creating a scenario where the traditional methodologies of innovation and brand building, both of them, are challenged. Everything is different. And finally, authenticity. And this is very easy when you talk about smaller companies, startups, or companies where the entrepreneurs, the visionaire, the person that created the product or brand is there. For big corporations, it is extremely difficult because everything is fragmented within the organization. And so it's so easy to become extremely schizophrenic in the way you treat those brands, you activate those brands in different kind of moments of life of the brand. So if this is true, we say that people search experiences. They don't search just solutions. So what is an experience? An experience is decodified as a solution, could be a product, a brand, a service, a solution, and people interacting with that solution. By the way, I love to call them people more than consumers or customers or, consumer, customers, and a variety of different target audiences are segments of this, but we talk about human beings, people, and, what they want, their preference. I hate the word consumers, imply this idea of consuming things. Actually, if you study design in Italy, we used to call them utenti at school, right? And then I talk with many of my designers in the US, and the word consumer is more used than user or utenti. I love the word utenti because it gives a human dimension, and you remove the idea of consumerism a little bit, at least in this, when you ideate something that is relevant for them. And anyway, so there is people interacting with solutions in a context that most of the time we talk about the context of purchase and the context of use in time. So by definition, an experience is a story with the beginning and the end, and often is a cycle because you end and then you get insights to restart the innovation cycle or the experience. This is what I call the practical journey. Actually, it's much longer than purchase and use. It's the idea of purchasing something. So how can you push people to purchase your product or experience your brand versus others, to go to a restaurant versus another restaurant, to an hotel versus another hotel, to buy a product in a specific location versus another one. Then you purchase it, you receive it, you unpack it, you use it, you store it, you dismiss it. If you think about a space, it could be, again, an hotel or the interior of a car or any three-dimensional space is the idea of going there. You see it from the distance. Then you enter, you discover, you interact in the space, you live inside the space for a while, and then you live from the space. And you can innovate in each and every phase of this practical journey. I remember at 3M, we were so focused on the technology of the products. And for instance, 3M is the company of Post-it and Scotch. And it was all about the functionality of that tape dispenser, of that Post-it dispenser. But then we realized that the storage was so important. You may eventually compromise a little bit the functionality to create a dispenser that people love so much. They wanted to keep out of the drawers. They wanted to keep it there visible. Is what Alessia has been doing very, very well in finding the right balance between functionality and then emotions to create something relevant for a specific target audience. There is people that want to sacrifice, aesthetic, perception, emotion from functionality. There are others that are okay having a trade-off, in functionality to increase the emotional level of the product. There is no right or wrong. It's all about people. We're talking about humanification. It's all about deeply understanding what they want, what your people, your target audience want, and create something that is relevant for them. And then connect it to a way of making money for your company. 3M wanted to sell Post-it and Scotch. They didn't want to do something amazing for people, and that's all. So if you can do something that people want and you sell also your product, it's amazing. Now, in that case, by taking the dispenser out of the drawer, we were increasing the consumption of Post-it and Scotch. We had tons of data that show us that by having the product visible, top of mind, you're going to consume the product more. This is true for printers, for any kind of product. You can apply to any industry, food and beverage. Take products in food and beverage out of your closet, out of your pantry, and people will use the product more. But once again, it's about understanding where you can innovate in a relevant way for people, and then all the ecosystem around needs to adapt on the basis of that insight. Now, we say that we need to design experiences, and these experiences need to be meaningful and relevant for people. So how do you define what is meaning? What is meaningful and what is meaning? Well, there are multiple potential definitions, but in general, every time you interact with a product or a brand, there are 3 levels of interaction. The first one is the functionality of the product and brand. You buy a product or brand because you need a functional benefit. The second one is the emotional interaction, and I'm going to share with you this right away. And the third one is the semiotic symbolic value. So emotional means that every time you interact with a product or a brand, it could be a luxury car, it could be a luxury fashion brand, or it could be a mass market brand. There is this emotional connection that you have with the product and the brand. It's the sense of pleasure, of reassurance. It's that emotion that you have in your guts. It's hate or love. It's something that is between you and the product. My favorite example for the women in the audience, imagine when you buy a pair of Louboutin shoes or Prada shoes, and you just love them. And imagine you buy Harley Davidson. Imagine you buy something that you really, really like, whatever it is. And the butterfly in your stomach is you and the product and nothing else. Then there is a second level, and it's what we call the expressive or semiotic level of value, level of communication. Essentially, it's what that product is saying about you to the rest of the world. Walking on the street with a can of soda or with a bottle of water, we're communicating something to people. For me, going around with my watch without hands that doesn't say the time, I'm saying something to people. My clothing, my haircut, my car, my office, anything that surrounds us is telling something to people. You may redirect what you are saying, or you may be totally unaware of what you are saying, but we are saying something to people. It's like a poem. You are creating something, a message that you convey to people, and then people interpret it, but you give that element, that input, through your art direction. As designers, we do this. We design meaning. We design the story that happened, the level of communication that happened between you and the product and brand, and then what that product and brand is saying about you to the rest of the world. This is what we do as designers. Every time when they tell you, design this packaging, design this product, no, we design experiences, and we design meaningful experiences. This is what we do. Now, if this is true, how do we design meaningful experiences? Now, we may talk for hours about this because there are a variety of different potential answers. But here, I want to share with you something I've been sharing probably for the past 15 years, more or less, and is being inspired by the theories of a man that is here today, Don Norman. And you can go online and see my presentations from really 15 years ago. There are many videos online, and you will see that what I'm going to share with you today is there. So it's not because, Don, you are here today. And these are free interpretation of your theories, so I apologize if you're going to disagree with what I'm saying. I'm just saying that they were inspired by you. And I always mention it. Is what I call the emotional flow. So every time you interact with people or with a context, with an environment, with something, there are 3 levels of interactions that Don has been sharing in his book, Emotional Design. And again, I changed the name of the second one because it's a free interpretation. I didn't want to. The first one is the visceral relation. So it's when you see a beautiful woman or a beautiful man or a beautiful landscape, you're like, wow. It's the butterfly in your stomach, it's on your skin, it's that emotion, it's beyond rationality. You see something and you have a reaction in front of it. It's a new collection of vintage 7-Up cans. And once again, we say solutions, ecosystem is never just the product, or in this case, the packaging, is the full ecosystem of communication, is licensing, is the events, is everything we do online, digital, collaboration with fashion designers, is a new brand that we launched a few months ago in February of this year called Life Water. It's a premium mass water where essentially the inside is that people walk in the street now with bottles of water. That bottle of water talking about expression, symbolic meaning of products and brands. The bottle of water, first of all, is saying to the rest of the community, of the world, of the people surrounding them, that they are healthy, that they take care of themselves. You have a lot of models, for instance, in New York, very proud with their bottle of waters, walking around out of SoulCycle or Equinox, everybody with their bottle of water. So first, that. Second, you want to, more and more, there is this category called premium mass, where it's slightly more premium, but it's still mass. You can buy it every day, where you are stating that you are more sophisticated. You're all dressed up. You want to have something in your hands that somehow is aligned to your sophistication. And then the other insight was that people, they go to stores, they go online, and they want to find new stuff every time, new products, new brands. They're always exploring, and they expect new. And so these bottles change every 3 months. Essentially, every bottle is a canvas for a collaboration with an artist. We launch 3 designs every 3 months, always a collaboration with an artist. The macro trend, the purpose of the brand, the why of the brand is we want to help the creative community, artists, and we help them not just giving them a canvas and a stage on our bottles, but with a variety of different initiatives. And then every 3 months, there is a different kind of community that we help. For instance, the second collection was Women in Art. 50% of artists in the world are men, 50% are women. So this is a good data. Unfortunately, just 5% of the artists in museums, in permanent collections, are women. 95% are men. So we are, in that specific collection, we're helping women in art. And every 3 months, there are different collections. These are the first 3 collections, and obviously, we are launching in a few months a variety of others. Once again, packaging, but then is the full story, is the purpose of the brand, is being sharp focused on meaning something for people and then authentically doing it. For instance, in our committee to select the artists, we have Paolo Antonelli, one of the directors of the Museum of Modern Art. We have Anna Wintour, that we all know. We have a variety of different artists that keep us, straight focused in an authentic way to the mission and the purpose of the brand. Because you remember what we said earlier, consumers or people are savvy, are demanding, and you cannot fool them anymore. So you better be authentic or they will find out that you are not. So this is what we need to do every time we create a new product or new brand. The second level of interaction, going back to the theories of Don, freely interpreted by me. Don call it behavioral, I call it interactive. Is essentially you go out with this woman and this man, and you love to be in their company. It is rational, it is emotional. It's your heart, it's your mind. You're in vacation in Bahamas, sunbathing, and you think about your colleagues back in New York under the snow. It's emotional, it's rational. Every time you interact with a product, there is the fine balance between emotional and rationality that may define the success or the failure of the product and brand. This machine is one of the first wins, the first proof points of design at PepsiCo, is a smart fountain where you have a digital screen where you can select your drinks, water, a Gatorade, a tea, or a cola, and then you can add flavors and create essentially your drink, your customized drink. All those insights, everything you're creating, we monitor it real time. So we have insights for our innovation machine, for our research and development, to identify new products, new opportunities for the future, and then we can use these devices to communicate to you. We can tell you anything. Beyoncé can appear at a certain moment and tell you, I'm drinking this, or the machine can tell you everybody in your campus is drinking this today, or whatever you want. We've been using the machine in communication a variety of different times. The challenge was how to keep the level of engagement. We want to attract people from far away, but then we want people to move fast because these restaurants make money on the consumption of the product. So what is the right balance in the way you design this machine, user interface and product design, everything, to create that flow, to engage people, then let them move, and have that interaction that is as user-friendly, as intuitive as possible, and as fast and rapid as possible. This machine has been extremely successful for us, also because we're able to go to market with something extremely affordable, extremely convenient, especially compared to anything competition was doing. And out of that, then we created a variety of different products, coolers, fountains, and vending that embrace that kind of approach. Or this is one of my favorite products. We launched it in Brazil. We're going to launch it in other countries in the coming months. Essentially, it's a super sustainable proposition, thinking especially about millennial, new generations. You have a bottle that is reusable, so you don't ship any plastic, any bottle. And then you have these pods that you put on top of the bottle. You fill the bottle with tap water, and then you have the pods with 2 chambers. One part is the liquid that gives you the flavor. The other part is a solid component. It could be chia seeds, it could be coffee powder, tea leaves, and a variety of different ingredients. Calories are close to 0, no more than 15 calories every time, natural ingredients, totally sustainable. On the space that the bottle occupies on shelf, we can put 16 different capsules, so 16, the equivalent of 16 bottles. And then imagine the logistic advantages in e-commerce or in the inventory in your store when you have something so small. But mostly, not 0 carbon footprint or very close to 0 carbon footprint because you have a reusable bottle. Or taking that kind of platform, because it is a technology platform, and then translating it in other categories. This is the world of Gatorade, where we've been combining our learnings in the world of fountains, our insights with Drinkfinity and the product category, and we created a system where essentially we've been working with a variety of different athletes, mostly the athletes we were sponsoring. So Serena Williams, Usain Bolt, the soccer national team of Brazil during the World Cup, and we have patches that you put on your skin and can monitor your perspiration, the composition of your sweat, and the frequency, how much you sweat in a specific given time. The patches are smart patches that talk with the app, with the device. So the physician of the team has a real picture of what you need. We create specific pods for you on the base of your body that go in the bottle. The bottle this time is a smart bottle with a chip that communicate again with the app. So we know how much you're drinking, what you're drinking, we know the training that you're having, and we can adapt everything. And then we create also food for the athletes. The experiment with the professional athletes has been extremely successful, and we moved to campus. So thousands of students in America last year have been experimenting with these devices. And then we're gonna go to mass market in the coming months with a bottle that is not the technological version, is not the one with the chip, without the patches and everything, but with customization of drinks. But the idea is we are experimenting to understand how we can go to mass customization in the field of Gatorade, where it's all about performance, but obviously the insights will be translated in a variety of different markets. Mass personalization is one of the mega trends we're investigating essentially across categories. And here is a video that tells you a little bit about the Gatorade story.
Your game is our lab. Introducing the future of sports fuel. Gatorade GX, your real-time hydration coach. Gatorade GX tracks fluid loss before, during, and after training, capturing every moment of sweat, measuring electrolyte and sodium loss in real time. Fluid intake is continually monitored with on-the-fly guidance, showing you when to hydrate while pacing your intake. Analyzing your fluid balance, Gatorade GX unlocks your personal fuel strategy. Recommending fuel formulas based on your electrolyte and carbohydrate needs. Conveniently delivered through an innovative equipment system. Replacing what's been lost when you need it the most. Track, analyze, and optimize your performance. Gatorade GX, built to fuel, customized for you.
And again, the right balance between making the device appealing, athletes want to use it, the emotional part, and then the functionality of it is really, really key. This is another experiment. Essentially, is the world of sodas, a world that is not as it used to be in the 80s when you just had, Pepsi and our friends in Atlanta. The world is very different now. We have energy drinks, we have water, we have juices, we have a variety. Alcoholic beverages, a different social role. And so in this experiment, we have been thinking, okay, how can we re-engage people with the world of sodas? First of all, focusing on low-calorie sodas. So what you will see is all around between 50 and 60 calories per serving. Just to give you an idea, a can of cola is, in average, 150 calories. So we are decreasing calories, but creating something that is really fun and engaging, and goes from the product itself, the vessel, the whole experience, the context, the way we select the physiologist, the bartender, what we call the physiologist, everything designed to push people to take out this device, take pictures, and share that level of engagement, rational and emotional. Here is the video.
So what is Fizz? It's a whole new way to look at soda.
This is not a drink, it's really an experience.
I'm excited to introduce you to the world of Fizz. Fizz is a whole new way of looking at soft drink mixology, which we like to call Fizzology.
They have these cool machines here called Pepsi Spires. They're already flowing now. What were you feeling? Batter up. Batter up. Then you take it over to these Fizzologists. These guys are taking the most unexpected flavors and creating the most imaginative drinks you can possibly imagine. Check it out.
They're loving getting to interact with it, what goes into it that makes it, watch something be created, and then get to consume it.
It was nice to see it made in front of your eyes. You got to do it and then eat what you made.
I love it. Really innovative.
Awesome.
It was just cool to see it all come together.
My favorite part was watching them put all the toppings.
A delicious drink.
Having a great taste.
I love it. I love the flavor.
Fizz is not just a drink, it's an experience.
It's been a really exciting day so far. As you can see, we're really flowing now.
3, 2, 1. Now, what you see in this video are experiments we ran in Milan during Design Week, during Super Bowl, and a variety at the Makers Fair in New York, where we are sponsors. And essentially, we have been using communication platforms where usually a company like PepsiCo will put a lot of money and splash the brand everywhere and communicate. We're trying to use these platforms to experiment, to prototype, to try new things, and see how people are going to react. So instead of traditional methodologies of research, we create these, we engage people, we're still communicating. There is a clear ROI, return on investment, on that communication platform. But in reality, we are experimenting, prototyping new ideas. It's so important because on top of getting feedbacks from consumers, customers, opinion leaders, shareholders, influencers, media, and so on and so forth, you also increase the confidence of the organization that what you're doing is the right thing to do. And in a world where it's all about mitigating risk, it's all about creating systems to control risk, and somehow cover up your shoulders in the innovation process when you try to push innovation within this organization, the level of confidence of people and organization is so important. Tom Kelly and David Kelly wrote a beautiful book called Creative Confidence, where they talk about this, and I was talking about this coming from the business world, from the corporation, 3M world, and they interviewed me about my idea of what confidence was. I was talking, there is a chapter that talks about the 5 steps that any new idea goes through, any new organization, in this specific case design, goes through when you try to create these organizations and create these cultures inside these organizations, in these companies. And confidence, the quest for confidence was one of these phases. The first one was essentially denial. You think that you don't need this new culture. You don't need design as a company. You're already successful without it. Then somebody, usually the CEO, somebody at the top, decide to hire a head of design or decide to embed design inside the organization. And the second phase all of a sudden become hidden rejection. You know, you go to this meeting, everybody's in love with you. They tell you, oh, you're so good, we really want to work with you. And as soon as you step out, you don't even know, but everybody's like, oh, finally, he's out, now we can go back to business. That's hidden rejection. It's so important to be aware of it, because if you are not, you can lose so much time with this passive-aggressive kind of, reaction of organizations. The third one is what I call the occasional leap of faith. You find somebody in the organization, what I call the co-conspirators, individuals with a name and a last name that are ready to bet on you. They want to try things with you. You need to hunt for co-conspirators inside this organization, because they will give you access to consumers, to funding, to resources, and they will give you the possibility to build proof points, to build quick wins, to create things that will show the company that you can create value. Once the company starts to realize that, wait a second, there is value in this thing called design, now they need to integrate it inside the organization, inside the culture, the processes, and it's painful, because even if the CEO is like, yeah, we need to do it, and even if everybody is like, yes, it makes sense, then there is the day-to-day, and you need to take risk and take compromises and trade-offs. And you're going to risk your career, you're going to risk education of your kids, your wealth. You're going to risk a lot as a business leader inside this organization. So you need to protect yourself. So confidence is key. And design thinking and prototyping, and we'll talk in a second more about what prototyping is and design thinking is for us in PepsiCo, is so important to increase the level of inner emotional confidence in business leaders and in organization to do things. The fifth phase is what I call the holistic awareness, where everybody gets design and we're all happy, and vissero felice e contenti, we say in Italian. How do you say? They live happy ever after, or something like this. Anyway, so going back to these experiments, Fizz, for instance, we experimented in Milan, in New York, in Super Bowl, and we built confidence. It was the right thing to do. And we were able to sell the idea to Disney in Shanghai. Disney opened a resort in Shanghai, and for the first time since the creation of Disney, they left their suppliers, the provider of colas from Atlanta, and they moved to PepsiCo. And this is one of the things we have in Disney, Fizz. We have all the Spire machine that I showed you earlier. Essentially, we're giving them innovation in a variety of different ways. Then we created the same Fizz in the Hershey Park, in the amusement park of Hershey outside of New York. In both cases, we have amazing business results, and now we are trying to figure out how to scale it up, how to do something in hospitality and retail that can take that inside these ideas and transform it in something that is scalable. Now, back to Don and the 3 levels of interaction with people, contexts, brands, and products. The third one is the expressive relation. Essentially, is you went out with this woman and with this man, and you love, the relation that you want to talk to everybody about this. You are back from your vacation in Hawaii, and you show your pictures to everybody through your social media. Social media is the platform of expressive relation. You want to share with the world the pleasure that you have in interacting with people, contexts, products, and brands. Is us actually in this specific case, PepsiCo, that is a company where 45% of our products are in the world of health and wellness, and very few people know about it. And so we created, for instance, this this umbrella brand that is called Hello Goodness, that put together all the health and wellness brands and products we have in the organization, and in a physical environment, in communication, in vending coolers, and in every expression of the brand, tell the story, because we were essentially probably very bad at telling the story because people don't know about what we're doing. Or is a brand like Pepsi. Now we go back to traditional marketing communication. And when you communicate, you are so focused on talking about the functional benefits of your products, the refreshment cues, the fact that cola hydrates you in a warm summer, the summer of soccer. This was the campaign, for instance, for the Soccer World Cup a few years ago. And we decided to change things. And we decided to, in this case, we took a fashion photographer, Danny Clinch. We were not the sponsor of the Soccer World Cup, but we sponsored a variety of different athletes. So we took with Danny pictures, black and white, beautiful, serious pictures of athletes. And then we called street artists from the different countries of the different athletes. And in a live event in London, we had the artists painting over the pictures. And then we used that as our communication, our campaign. That has been extremely, extremely successful. Then we've been taking that art and we've been creating a series of collaborations with brands like Del Toro shoes, Penguin jackets, Bang & Olufsen headphones, Shot skateboard, and so on and so forth, creating collections of products that we will sell in Bloomingdale's, we'll sell in Colette in Paris, in a variety of different stores around the world. Changing, you remember you were talking earlier about the way companies build brands. Moving from saying something to somebody to doing things, do stuff, and then people will talk about you. So we engage people by doing things, and people will talk about us in those platforms. And with that kind of approach, for instance, we are sponsoring Shanghai Fashion Week. And it's not about the can, but it's about we're sponsoring a variety of fashion designers. We give them possibility to have a stage and create collections, sometimes inspired by Pepsi, sometimes disconnected by that. This is interesting. This is Ad Age, talking about the way Pepsi is changing brand building. And it's interesting why, because Shanghai Fashion Week for us is a local event. Ad Age is one of the most important magazines in marketing in the United States, talking about what we do locally as something that we are doing globally. And I often mention this, especially to our business organization, because local doesn't exist anymore. Everything is global, or glocal if you want. But this is something very, very important for us to remember. First, because we can experiment and prototype in different countries of the world, and then scale it up and export it across the globe. But also because we need to be very careful about what we do in different parts of the world, because everything is 24/7 on a global stage today. Or it's about understanding pop culture. This is Back to the Future 2. Michael J. Fox or Marty McFly was going to his future 20 years later. The movie was in the 80s, and he will go to a bar and he will ask for a Pepsi, and this is what would happen.
Hey. All I want is a Pepsi.
It was the 21st of October of 2015, and so on the 21st of October of 2015, we actually launched Pepsi Perfect with a time machine as packaging. In few seconds, we sold out everything in Amazon. Seconds. We consumers or people got furious, and we had to run a new production. We sold more licensing in a week with this, so hats, shirts, all kind of sophisticated licensing. Nicely designed, than in an entire year with Pepsi. And the company didn't really want to do it. But I had some designers super passionate about this idea, understanding pop culture, understanding that the movie was going to be big, that 21st of October of 15, a lot of people, a lot of fans would have celebrated the movie, and they started to prototype inside the organization. In the 15% of their time. 3M had a rule, like Google has the 20%. Google created a few years ago. 3M created in 1954. You can use 15% of the time to do whatever you want with the resources of the company. And this is how Post-it was invented, Scotch was invented. So I introduced the same kind of culture in PepsiCo, in my design and innovation organization. And so this came from the 50% time of few designers that were in love with it. And they started to prototype, put it in the desk of everybody. And everybody was excited, but nobody wanted to do it. And so they kept making it and putting it everywhere. Finally, a young marketer, the co-conspirators we were talking about earlier, in February of that year was like, you know what, I have a slot, I have some money, why don't we do it? Let's just do it, let's have fun with it. And then it became a huge global success for us. Communication. And you can find bottles today, even for $400. I didn't take the screenshot, but this is the one I like the most because it's the bottle without even the cola. And so much of R&D in these organizations is about what's inside, the product. And you see that when a packaging has some form of relevance, of meaning for people, you can sell the packaging without even the product inside. Obviously, this is a provocation, but you know what I mean. With the same kind of approach, experimentation, prototyping, we did in Milan Cola House, this space where you can drink a variety of different cocktails, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, based on cola nuts. Not on colas, on cola nuts. Cola nut is one of the ingredients of colas, but nobody knows about this. So we decided to romance the story, tell people about this without telling them, with an experience in a physical location. And then in this physical location, Pepsi is all about music and sport and fashion and concerts and fun. So in this physical location, the physical location become a container of this kind of events. And then in Milan, we built confidence. Then we started to export the model. We started to use it in a modular way in a variety of different activations, concerts, music festival, very efficient. So moving from putting the logo everywhere to creating something that people want to talk about. And finally, we opened one last year, permanent location in New York City in the Meatpacking. And this is the one that we opened there. Designed, by the way, with Lenny Kravitz. Lenny Kravitz, rock star. I know the manager, he's Italian. He wanted to work with us for a long time when I was at 3M. I was like, why would I use a rock star as a designer, at 3M? But then when I had to design Call House, I was, wait a second, Call House is all about music. This guy is passionate about design. Is the perfect convergence in this story of, the designer / rock star himself. That is the embodiment of what Call House is about. And we designed Call House with him. Now, we say we use events to experiment. This is Super Bowl last year. Obviously, now we're working for the next one in Minneapolis. This is what we did at Super Bowl last year in this video. It was the platform where we launched Like Water with a concert of Bruno Mars and a variety of different activations you will see in the video. We launched AD93, that is a natural organic color. Life Water is much more than packaging, so it's connection really with the fashion and art community in a variety of different ways. Everything is mapped from when they land in the airport, the car that they take, what happened in the hotel, what happened with these activations during the days before the game, what happened when you go to the game, in the stadium, halftime show, all the way to when they leave and they go back to their city. And we use it really to prototype new ideas and see how people react. Gatorade, what I showed you earlier. So here, journalists, customers have the possibility to try the patches and the smart bottles. And then everything that happened with the halftime show last year, Lady Gaga, all the way to the drones. That really, the real drones in the sky, they paint the Pepsi logo. So you see how we're using designing both in, there are two applications. One is brand building that used to be owned by marketing, and we can really take a leading role in brand building today because everything is moving from TV to things that happen offline, and design can take a leading role in the world. And then there is the world of innovation, leveraging our way of thinking to create new products, to imagine new platforms, to imagine and create new brands for the future. Now, if we go back to this 3 level of interaction of Don, every time I talk about this, I've been talking for years about this. People know, because it's who we are. I mean, everybody relates, the visceral, the interactive, the expressive. Now, what I've been trying to do is to translate that into the business world, to translate that value for business people. If you have the visceral relation, there is a high probability you're going to create emotional impulse purchase. If you have the interactive one or behavioral one, there is a high probability you're going to create emotional satisfaction and loyalty. People loyal to your products and brands beyond rationality. This line of people out of an Apple store to buy the new iWatch or iPhone, even before they even tried it, they even ever saw it. Emotional loyalty. They hope that Apple is not going to screw up in the next products because we want to be loyal to them. We want them to succeed. The expressive one is communication and spontaneous PR, word of mouth. people, consumers, your customers becoming the best brand ambassadors for you. You want to either summarize it and simplify it. This is purchase, repurchase, and recommend. Or if you want to go back to people, users, and what we do, how we want to design our experiences and products, is about wowing them, is about creating an engagement that is rational and emotional, and then it's about creating pride. We want people to be proud to be associated with our products and our brands. And we want to do it in an authentic way, in a consistent way across every touch point of the brand and across every geography of the world. More and more, we need to move from the bottom of the pyramid, where we focus so much on the utilitarian needs, the functionality of the product, the usability, the reliability. In the world of Pepsi, Pepsi is competing with another cola. Is more or less calories, is more or less carbonation, is the ingredients inside food. To the world of demand spaces, occasion of use, is pleasure and convenience. Pleasure, your heart; convenience, more rational. Essentially is where a brand like Pepsi start to compete with other products, juices and energy drinks, and a variety of other products is, during a meal or tailgating in the stadium or walking in the street. And then moving up all the way to the world of meaning and dreams is what I like to call the brand space. Is what Simon Sinek called the why. Is the world where Pepsi start to compete with Apple, with Nike, with brands that stand for something in society. It is a beautiful business opportunity, because if you start to have that kind of positioning, you have the opportunity to stretch your product outside of the core category where you play. Now, many of the examples I could share with you today are brand building driven. I share with you some more innovation-driven, like the Gatorade Award or Drinkfinity, but obviously, innovation take a longer time. We have many, many different projects ongoing inside the organization, from the redefinition of retail, of hydration, changing the experience in restaurants, and so on and so forth. There is a video that summarizes a little bit of the vision that we have of the future of snacks, that is our category, and beverage, that I can share with you today.
Imagine a world where breakfast isn't simply made to order. It's biometrically tailored to meet your body's very own unique needs. Where water isn't merely made clean, it's purified from the sky, harnessed at hydration hubs, and augmented with the nutrients you desire. Available around the world. Where fruits and vegetables aren't just locally grown, they're harvested within arm's reach. And transformed into on-the-go eats. Imagine a world where food is sustainably packaged from bio-based innovation and responsibly recycled in every city around the planet. Where a snack isn't just instant food. It's pure goodness on demand, fueling your afternoon and maximizing your goals. Where a table is smart enough to know exactly what you need and turns a night of music, drinks, and entertainment into an experience to remember. Imagine a world where the products we make bring joy to the planet and the people they are made for.
And now, this is just a video that we can share, but you can imagine there are hundreds or thousands of projects behind this, investigating the world of mass customization, health and wellness, Internet of Things, and so on and so forth. Now, when I share this story, everything seems easy. In reality, it's not easy at all. There are a variety of different challenges, as you can imagine. I want to leave you in the next 5 minutes with 3 challenges that we have been facing in the past years. The first one is as you heard me saying earlier, how to manage risk, how to increase confidence. And this is where design thinking can really play a very important role. I'm really positioning design thinking within PepsiCo as a function, a mindset, a culture, a process that can increase the confidence of the organization, the management of risk management, and our ability to increase success in innovation. What is design thinking is this connection between empathy, strategy, and prototyping. Empathy, understanding what is relevant to people. Strategy, understanding what is relevant to the company, and mixing the two. And finally, when you have those insights, you start to create and prototype right away. Prototyping is so crazy important. I may have a conversation with you now, and I can call somebody and start to prototype. To do this and reiterate multiple times is so important for many reasons. First, for alignment. If now I say something like knife, each of us is going to have a different idea of the knife. But if I design a knife, now we are all aligned around that idea of knife. How many times you go to a meeting, you think we are all aligned, and then you go out of the meeting, everybody goes in different directions. So the ability to prototype, to align, is extremely valuable for organizations. Now, I have my knife. The marketer in the room may tell me that the brand is not visible enough, and the R&D person may tell me that the blade is not sharp enough, and the ergonomist may tell me that the handle is not comfortable enough. And a lot of people in my organization may think that I'm a very bad designer. I design a very bad knife. But the reality is that this is what design thinking is about. By creating the rough prototype, even if it's not perfect, I'm enabling all the other functions to be part of the creative process, to co-create with me. And by the way, not in sequence, and this is the problem of many organizations. Everything is in sequence. R&D does something, put it, give it to insights. How many times you commission research, you have books like this of insights that nobody reads. So it's about creating everything in sequence and speeding up the process. One of the problems, we're talking about relevance and then speed. So this is about progressive iteration and co-creation. Then you can take it out of the company. You can start to get feedbacks from customers, from consumers, and again, you keep iterating. And finally, is about the engagement of the people that needs to become your sponsor, they give you the funding. This is true in corporation, but also outside. You go to this VC or you go to your CEO, and they receive requests for funding every second of the day. But if you go with something, the shiny object, something that is a prototype, they get excited. Before being CEOs and executives of organizations, they are human beings. They love to touch those little objects. They fall in love with it. So many times I saw people falling in love with an idea that they can touch and feel and say, where can I see it in the market? Prototyping is so powerful to get sponsorship and funding within this organization. All of this is driving efficiency by increasing speed. It's driving efficiency by decreasing cost, by definition, when you increase the speed and you do things fast in-house. It drives up the quality because you start to co-create and include a variety of different know-how, and this is so important to the unique vertical expertises that work together in parallel. It generates new formats, insights, and validation. This is so important because insights tend to kill anything is polarizing, new, different, and innovative. And finally, build confidence and mitigate the risk inside organizations. This is so key. Positioning design thinking as something like this is something that finance and business organization can understand in a very compelling way. The second challenge is, we just mentioned consumer insights. In a world where we need to mitigate risk, consumer insights have been used in a very bad way for a long time. And we say design is all about understanding people, right? We need to talk to people. The problem is we talk to people, but we do it in the wrong way so many times. This is another chart that I've been sharing for the past 15 years. The prehistoric man invented the wheel, goes to his consumer insight, prehistoric people, and they're like, we love your original concept, but just to be on the safe side, we run it through a focus group. And so here the wheel becomes a square. And you know what is the drama? The drama is that they think, well, there is the hole anyway, there is the same amount of material, more or less. We're just helping you, innovation people, designers. Consumers told us that the wheel could run away. They're not familiar with the shape. It's a new shape. They're not familiar. Familiarity level, red, very bad. So, and what is the drama on top of it? They launched the square. and it fails. And then they go back to the designers, the innovation people are like, we try to help you. We modify your concept, we evolve it on the basis of the consumer insights, but we fail anyway. So you don't even realize that you kill the integrity of that idea of innovation by doing this. This happens so many times. Now, at the beginning, when I was sharing this chart, all the consumer insights community started to hate me. They were thinking I didn't believe in it. But I went to design school. We study insights. It's at the base of what we study. I strongly believe in listening to your consumers. I also believe that you should not believe them. You need to interpret. You need to balance insights, what you learn, with leadership, with your intuition, with your vision. This is what makes entrepreneurs successful. It's not just facts that you read and you drive with. The third challenge is, if it's all about people, it's the people we design for, but it's also about the people that drive innovation. It's us and the people that surround us in these business organizations. So we need to find the right people. And this is so damn difficult, especially in our community, because I don't think we are trained in the proper way to face, as a design community, to face the challenges we have in front of us and the opportunity to take a leadership role in brand building and in driving innovation. We need people that have an approach to design that is holistic. I don't want just graphic designers or just industrial designers or just architects. I need somebody that understands all the different words and knows how to connect all of them. I need people that are business savvy, that are able to understand business, and by the way, to articulate value of what they do in front of the business community. They know how to talk about this, not just understand it, talk about this. I need people that are visionary, but then they can learn things, that get shit done, that are pragmatists. I need the fine balance between the vision and the action. We need entrepreneurs. I need people that if they were not in PepsiCo, they would be out there creating their own startup, because that's the kind of mindset we want to have in everybody. And we need people with that very high EQ and empathy. And empathy not just to understand the people we design for, no, to understand everybody that surrounds you. Because if you're changing the game, if you're changing culture, if you're changing companies, if you're changing the world, you need to take people with you. And therefore you need a very high level of EQ, because you need to enter a room and understand everybody at first sight. And this is so, so important. And finally, we need design thinkers. What is a design thinker? You don't need to be a designer to be a design thinker. I wrote 2 papers, both for the Design Management Institute review. One is called Love Letter to Design, and the other one is Your Design Process is Not Enough, Hire Design Thinkers, from 5 years ago, more or less. And so you can find the description of every of these lines in those letters if you ever are interested. But essentially, we need people that are visionary, that understand the big picture, and then they know how to go back and step by step get in there. They need to be elegant. What is elegance? We're talking, Don, about simplicity and Dieter Rams. For me, what he was calling simplicity, I translated in elegance. Elegance is the perfect balance of all the elements to create the perfect experience for people. Is harmony, is symphony. Jazz is elegant. It doesn't need to be minimal. So many people, when I interview, ask, what is elegance? They tell me minimal. No, it could be extremely complex. Dyson is elegant. It's the perfect balance. It's the minimal complexity that you can have to solve a specific need and fulfill a specific want and dream. They need to be polyglot and storyteller, able to connect with a variety of different realities and talk with different words. They need to be intuitive, trust their guts, trust their intuition, because this is what entrepreneurship and innovation is about. And be dialectical. So many times they put you in a bucket. You are a designer. Don't bother marketing. Don't bother R&D. And instead, we want to connect with all the different disciplines and in a dialectical way, engage with them, challenge them, and leverage all of them, be the glue and the connector of all of them. And finally, in love. And when I say in love, everybody's like, oh, the Italian now talks about love. But how many times we hear the word customer satisfaction? What is how do you satisfy somebody? You satisfy somebody when you do everything that the person wants, when you fulfill a specific identified need. But when you love somebody, it could be your mother, your father, your kids, your spouse, you try to do more. You try to surprise them. It's the magic, it's the unexpected. This is what love is, and this is what designers do. They fall in love with people, and they try to do something that is amazing, that they don't expect. And it's not just in ideation phase. In ideation phase, it's so easy, but they protect their love all the way to commercialization and launch. This is what made Steve Jobs Steve Jobs. He was able not just to have a good idea. The idea of Steve Jobs, I was working in Philips Design in the late 90s, and we already invented the iPad. Bill Gates launched the iPad 10 years before Steve Jobs, and he failed miserably. The magic of Steve Jobs was to protect the love across the entire development scale-up cycle, all the way to launch, all the way to market. He loved people, and he also hated people, if you read his biography, but he loved people through his products and his brand. And then the behavior, people, to be a design thinker, you need to be curious. Reading, traveling, curiosity. You need to love diversity, nurture yourself with diversity, listen with humility. So many times, the more you progress in your career, the more you close yourself in the trap of arrogance. It's so important to learn and listen. But you also need to be careful not to learn and not act. And therefore, you need confidence to act and take decisions. You need to be resilient and optimistic, because if you are changing the game, you will find always roadblocks. If you don't find roadblocks, you're not changing the game. And so you need to have that kind of optimism inside. You can be frustrated, in the short term, but then you look at your vision, your dream, and you keep going with that happiness and optimism. Always in quest, always hungry, go always the extra mile. This has been something that I learned very early on, and it's so important. If the target is 100, everybody tells you, go for 100, your boss or a competition or whatever, go for 120. Every single time. Innovate every single time. Go for more, because many people will reach 100. Actually, few people will reach 100. But nobody will reach 120 because it was not a given target. Just set it for yourself every time a target is higher than what they ask you. And then be aware, self-conscious, and smile and have fun, because what we do, we're very lucky, it's very fun, and we should always keep the smile in our face. And this is, I promise, the last slide. If we are people in love with people, if what we do is loving people, we are people in love with people, and with that kind of love, we can really change the world we live in. Everything that surrounds us is designed by somebody. This chair, this clicker, my shoes, anything, this building, everything is designed by somebody. And therefore, through these products, no matter what you design, you can have moments of fun, of style, of happiness, of convenience, of safety, of comfort in the life of people. Now, all of these moments, lived through experiences, are fragments of a broader potential social happiness. If we do design with in mind a positive intent, if we try to be sustainable from an ecological standpoint, a visual standpoint, let's avoid visual pollution, an emotional standpoint, and a social standpoint, we really have the possibility, and with that the responsibility, of designing a better, happier world. Thank you.